Hey, I'm Nichboy and welcome to Ask Pocket. Today I'll be answering some of your questions, so let's get right into it. And first up, we've got this one from Simon in Oxenbridge. I'm wondering if you know why game studios such as Sega, Nintendo, and Neo Geo, etc., who have massive libraries of 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit games, don't make them available on the new consoles in some form of marketplace. I figured there would be licensing issues, but just make sure everyone gets a cut. Getting some money for these games is better than getting none, surely. Hey Simon, there's a heap of reasons why this doesn't happen. Some are technical, emulators exist on PCs, but something like the Wii U uses its hardware in very different ways than PCs. What Nintendo traditionally did was actually include the older chipset in their new machines. So the Wii was actually just a souped up GameCube and so had no trouble playing those games. With their new system, they could include software emulators to run those older games, and while that sounds easy enough, they need to provide support for each one of those games to ensure they work. And then there's the matter of hosting them and having the emulator in every console, even though the bulk of people will never use it. And that's another reason. Is it worth Nintendo's time to actually provide that support? They're not stupid. Contrary to a lot of their recent decisions regarding naming of their consoles, the new Nintendo machines aren't aimed at the hardcore audience. They're trying to get in everyone. Sure, you'd buy those games, and I'd buy those games, but we're not the ones that butter Nintendo's bread. It's your mother, and my friend's nephew, and neither of them want to play old 16-bit games. Why would they want to play old Donkey Kong games when the new Tropical Freeze game is just as good? And while it sounds ideal to say there would be licensing issues, but just make sure everyone gets a cut, that's not actually how business works. No one in business just happily splits things fairly. I mean, I've been trying to get performers' rights to Pocket episodes for months, and the answer I get from my producer is, I will burn this mother to the ground before you get 1 cent of royalties, Nick. Now get back into your box and play 10 hours of Elder Scrolls Online. And even if you do agree on a split, does that mean Nintendo gets 20% of the sale even though they're doing all the work? There's too many complications. So the solution, as always, is to never throw out anything so you can always play everything. Next up, Amadeus gets nostalgic. Hey Nichboy, what would you say would have been your most profound childhood gaming experience? Ooh, good question. Look, my most profound childhood gaming experience actually happened when I was an adult, weirdly enough. Growing up as a Nick boy as opposed to the Nick man I am today, the game that had the fondest place in my heart was Alex Kidd in Miracle World. I played Alex Kidd more than any other game I owned, and I could never ever finish it. The insanely difficult castle level, the rock, paper, scissors battles, the slightly too fast motorbike, all of these things were too much of an ask for Nick Boy's thumbs. But then about 7 years ago, a friend and I hooked up my Master System, which still works, by the way, and set ourselves the task of finishing that game. We spent about 7 hours sitting in front of the television, screaming in frustration and delight. And I also spent that entire time flooded with memories of doing the same thing when I was a little tot, losing myself in the fantasy escape that games gave me and still continue to. It was one of the best days of my adult life because it was a concentrated version of all of the best days of my childhood. And when I finally beat it late that evening, I felt that little Nick was sitting there right next to me, controller in hand, proud of the fact that he'd grown up and conquered the things he never could. Our final question comes in from Close Watcher. In one of your Ask Pocket episodes, you rated 2 games, Mario Kart 8 and some other G game, MA15+. Just telling you your mistakes, smiley face. Well, way to shit on my Alex Kidd story. Unbelievable. All right, that's it for the questions today, Pocketeers, but not quite for the show. Our 100th episode is coming up in a few weeks, and we want you guys to pick your favorite moments from the first 84 episodes to go into our special ep. So if you've got a favorite moment like this.
All right, let's go get dead. Hey? Haha, nailed it. Ooh, hang on a second. This isn't almond milk. I'm lactose intolerant.
Or this. Like a rock. Like a rock. Nothing phases him. I hate you so much. Still gives me nightmares. Or perhaps this. Some of my finest work. Anyway, let us know in the comments. And last order of business, E3, the big one. It's happening next week. This year, Hex will be flying off to LA to cover the event, and I'll be helping Barjo out doing big person reviews on the real show while she's gone. I'll actually get to score some games for once. But with me over in the fancy TV chairs for the next few days, I'll need someone to assume the internet stool on Pocket. If only there was someone bold enough, talented enough, beardy enough to fill these shoes.
Hey, brother.
Yeah, you'll do. All right, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Until then, Nichboy out.
And I'll see you all tomorrow. Goose out. Mum would be so proud.
Oh, I meant to tell you, Dad called? Mum's dead.
Dad's alive?